And we first broke news of Dr. Eugene White's retirement today on the IndyChannel.com, and we're first to report it when it became official on RTV6 News at 7.
But tonight, it's not just the announcement he's retiring that is making news, but what he's getting for it.
RTV6 reporter Ebony Monet was at tonight's meeting and is live outside the IPS Education Center with details of this deal. Ebony.
Jenna, April 5th is set to be his last day, and while that date may seem random, it actually coincides with the district's spring break. Now, not only is it the last day of spring break, but it's also when IPS will say goodbye to Dr. White.
At the end of this workday on Friday, April 5th, I will retire from the IPS school district.
With the district's business complete, Dr. Eugene White ends the school board meeting with the highly anticipated announcement. He's retiring.
Definitely, I do feel somewhat relieved, simply because I don't want the community thinking that we're going to have these confrontations or these frustrating debates.
White has led Indianapolis Public Schools since 2005 and faced resistance from an at times split school board. He's also dealt with criticism, which ramped up with the state's takeover of 4 failing IPS schools. But as White prepares to say goodbye, he's focusing on achievements.
We raised the graduation rate from 35% to 65%. We cut the dropout rate in half.
Dr. Eugene White's contract extends through 2015 with an annual salary of more than $180,000. It's a payment the school board says it still plans to honor.
We do not have any final figures yet, but we're assuming somewhere in the area of about $800,000. He made the decision to retire, and we feel we want to honor that and move forward. And we believe that we owe him the rest of his contract.
With the addition of 3 new school board members who ran on the platform of sweeping reform, White says IPS is moving in a new direction, one that won't include him. IPS school board leaders tell us they are already on the lookout for an interim superintendent, and although White wants April 5th to be his last day on the job, he has agreed to stay on until that person is in place. Reporting live downtown, Ebony Monet, RTV6.
Very interesting. Ebony Monet reporting live downtown. Thank you.
Our Call 6 investigators have been digging into Dr. White's contract and what he stands to earn on retirement. White currently makes about $275,000 a year in compensation. As a perk in his contract, taxpayers have been paying White's contribution to the state teachers' retirement fund. Using the state's online calculator, it appears Dr. White will receive between $57,000 and $77,000 a year for the rest of his life in terms of his state pension. Under a new state law, White's contract is supposed to be posted online, but our Call 6 investigators could not find that contract today.
Education experts both here in Indiana and across the country are weighing in on Dr. White's announcement. I talked to several of them today as they gathered at the State House to discuss national education standards.
As you know, tomorrow,
leaders in education from all across the country are together here in Indy to debate Common Core education standards, a national set of standards. It's a controversial topic in this room. Dr. White's decision to step down is not.
There's a lot of turnover in big city superintendents. There's a new school board coming in with some additional members.
Jamie Gass with Boston's Pioneer Institute says superintendents in cities like Indianapolis don't last long because they're up against many challenges.
there's a lot of constituencies. There's the teachers' unions, there's the parents, there's all the school administrators. There's just a lot of constituencies that are always kind of nibbling away at you on the edges.
Those nibblers might be leading education groups from Indy. They were careful with their words, but couldn't hide their frustration with White.
A lot of us in the reform world, we get a little impatient, that we want to see things move pretty quickly, and not to say that he didn't want to do some of the things that we would love to see him doing, but at the same time they weren't getting done.
We think the new school board elected really has a clear vision and leadership required to improve IPS schools.
As for those controversial Common Core standards, legislators are expected to take up that issue tomorrow.